Okay students, we already discussing about the tools of recombinant DNA technology. Those were enzymes, second is vehicle or vector DNA, and third is the passenger DNA. We already discussed all the enzymes that we are using in the biotechnology. So we are going to start the second tool of the recombinant DNA technology, that is cloning vector. Cloning vector is also known as the vehicle DNA. Why it is named so? Because it will carry the foreign gene or the gene of interest whose copies we want. So it will carry the foreign or gene of interest into the host cell for its multiplication. That is why it is known as the vehicle DNA. So what are the DNA that we can use as a vector DNA? Is the, we can say, plasmid, bacteriophage and cosmid. So first is the, we can take an example, that is the plasmid. Plasmid is known as the extra chromosomal part of the DNA. That means it is the extra genome that is found other than the genetic material. It is mainly found in the prokaryotes, in the monera. That means it is found in all the bacteria. Bacteria have its own genome, that is nucleoid, and other than the nucleoid they also have the plasmid. And this is the property of the bacteria that make it special, and that is why it is only used in the biotechnology due to the presence of plasmid. Okay, so I have taken an example here of the plasmid, that is PBr322. Why this name is given to this plasmid only? P stand for plasmid, B for Bolivar, and R for Rodriguez. That means these are the two scientists who constructed the artificial plasmid, that is PBr322. I have made a diagram here also of PBr322. This is the diagram. It have a origin of replication, from where multiplication or replication of the DNA will start. It have the ROP are the proteins that will help in the replication. This site is known as the tetracycline resistant gene. This site is known as the ampicillin resistant gene. It means in the plasmid is of two types. One is R plasmid and second is F plasmid. R plasmid means resistant plasmid and F plasmid means fertility plasmid. Resistant plasmid means those plasmid have the special property of against the specific antibiotics. You can take the example of this PBr322. It have the resistant property against the tetracycline and the ampicillin. That means these are the ampicillin and tetracycline are the two antibiotics which cannot act on this plasmid and the bacteria which have this plasmid. So what are the characters of a cloning vector? That means whom we will call the cloning vector. That means that have some special characters. These characters are: first, it should have origin of replication. Origin of replication, yes, ORI, from where replication or multiplication of the DNA will start. So when we are inserting the foreign gene into a plasmid, so we must keep in mind we can insert that gene near to the ORI, because if we can take the example of PBr322, if we can insert the gene either in the ampicillin resistant portion or in the tetracycline resistant portion. So when replication will start, ORI will start to make copy from here. So this ORI will help to make the copies of foreign gene, and it will depend upon the ORI how many copies it will make. Second is the selectable marker. That means every cloning vector should have the selectable marker. What are the selectable markers? These selectable markers will help to identify and to eliminate the non-transformant from the transformant. What does it mean? Transformant bacteria or the bacteria are those bacteria in which genes are inserted. That is why they are known as the transformant. And the bacteria which do not have the foreign gene are non-transformant. So these selectable markers will help us to identify and eliminate transformants and the non-transformant. So what we can use here as a selectable marker? Many of the plasmid have a number of antibiotic resistant genes like the ampicillin resistant gene, tetracycline resistant gene, and chloramphenicol. All these are the antibiotic resistant genes are found in the plasmid that can be used as a selectable marker. So third is the recognition sequence. Every cloning vector should have this sequence. Recognition sequence is also known as the restriction site. Yes, restriction site, you must keep in mind what is restriction site. Is the site where restriction endonuclease will make cut on that specific site is known as the restriction site. So in PBR 322, if we can take the example, we can use antibiotic resistant gene as a restriction site. So how we can use it? This restriction site or recognition site, which is also known as the cloning site, will help us to identify the transformant from the non-transformant. How it will help? Suppose you just take an example. If we have taken any foreign gene or the gene of interest whose copies we want to make, so that foreign gene, if we will insert, I am drawing the diagram here also, if I will insert that gene here in the BAM H1 site of the tetracycline, then what would happen? BAM H1, yes, it will cause insertional inactivation. But how we will do it? We can cut the BAM H1 site from here and then we will insert the gene. As a result, this site will be inactivated. And if this site will inactivate, it means this complete gene of anti-tetracycline resistant gene will be inactivated. Okay, so this insertional inactivation of the tetracycline. After that, we can add this plasmid into a bacteria that will be the host organism, and we can multiply the by making a number of copies, and we can culture. Where we will culture? We can use as a culture as an ampicillin medium and the tetracycline medium. Then we will see the bacteria that have this plasmid in which we have inserted the gene will grow on the ampicillium medium, but it will does not grow on the tetracycline medium. So I have written here, it does not grow on the tetracycline medium. It means it is a transformant. It means only this part is inactivated in the transformant where we have inserted the gene. That means in other non-transformant, this part will be normal. So the normal, that is the non-transformant, will show the antibiotic resistant for both ampicillin as well as tetracycline. But only transformant will show insertional inactivation of the tetracycline. Now we are going to discuss the next topic, that is the which are the vectors that are used for cloning the genes in plants and animals. Definitely, vectors are also divided on the basis of they are transferring the genes into plants, in the animals, or in the microbes. So now, Agrobacterium tumefaciens. Agrobacterium tumefaciens is a soil inhabiting bacteria which is normally found in the soil, and it is considered as the natural genetic engineer. Now question is why? This bacteria mainly found in the soil and cause the infection in the tomato, sunflower, cotton and soybean plants. And it causes a disease that is known as crown gall disease in these plants. Now, how this bacteria cause the infection? As you know, this bacteria mainly found in the soil. It have a special plasmid that is known as Ti plasmid, means tumor-inducing plasmid. And this Ti plasmid have a special portion that is known as tDNA. tDNA means transfer DNA. This is the part of the DNA that Ti plasmid will make the copy and transfer into the plants, and that will cause the tumor in the plants. Then next topic is the competent host. What do you mean by competent host? The host which is able to take the recombinant DNA is known as competent host. Naturally, it is not possible any of the microbe or plant or animal easily can take the DNA. So we need some methods by which we can make those hosts competent, so they are easily take the DNA. So some of these methods I have discussed here. First is chemical method. A number of chemicals like calcium, magnesium, polyethylene glycol are used for the transferring the recombinant DNA into the host cells. So chemical method, DNA is added into those host cells which do not have cell wall. That means cell wall is absent in them. So we can insert or introduce the recombinant DNA by the plasma membrane. So what we will do at that time, we can take the naked protoplast and then mix with the recombinant DNA. But how we will mix? Definitely both of these two things, protoplast and recombinant DNA, is mixed into a medium, and that medium have the magnesium ions and the 20% polyethylene glycol. After that, after we can say the treatment, concentration of PEG will be reduced and concentration of calcium ions will be increased. But this method is not applicable to all the bacteria because so many of the bacteria or the cells are sensitive to these chemicals that are not able to take the recombinant DNA. So it is not the preferable method. Second method is the electroporation. Electroporation, where recombinant DNA is introduced into the host cell by making the pores in the plasma membrane. How we will make the pores in the plasma membrane? By applying the electric current. It will depend. We are using the low voltage current, then we will provide it for the long pulse. And if we are using the high voltage current for the short pulse, so this electric current will produce the pores in the plasma membrane, and then with the help of these pores, those microbes can easily take the recombinant DNA from the medium. So this is known as the electroporation. Next method is the microinjection. As the name indicates, microinjection. This method is mainly used in the animal cells where foreign DNA is directly introduced into the animal cells with the help of micropipette or the microinjections, because amount of the DNA is also taken in the micro amounts. So, and fourth method is the biolistic method, which is also known as the gene gun method. In this gene gun method, we can use the gene gun where we can use the particles of the gold, or we can say gold and the tungsten, and then we can label the rDNA on those. Suppose I am making the diagram here. These are the gold and tungsten particles. On this gold and tungsten particle, we can label the rDNA like this, and then we will shoot with the help of gun into the plant cell with the high velocity. And this gold and tungsten particle is of 1 to 10 micron meaning only. So, and it is also known as the biolistic method. So these are the four methods by which we can make the host competent, and the host can easily take the recombinant DNA from the medium. Now we are going to discuss about the next technique, that is the PCR. What is PCR? PCR is the polymerase chain reaction that is used to make the multiple copies of the gene of interest or the foreign gene. So that is known as the PCR. This technique was developed by the Kary-Mullis in 1985. So it is a technique that will amplify the segment of the DNA, that is the gene or the gene of interest, but in mainly in vitro conditions. That is known as the PCR. Why it is in vitro? Because it will not take place inside the host organism. It will take place artificially in the lab. So what was the need created at that time to develop the PCR? As you know, we have started the recombinant DNA technology. In this technology, we require the host organism to make the multiple copies of the gene of interest. But scientists started to think that any machine is possible to make the multiple copies of the gene of interest. Yes. Example. You just take the example of the photocopy machine. What you are doing over there? You are just inserting the page that you want to multiply that you want to number of copies of that page, and then you just click on the numbers and take out the printouts. Then what is doing that machine? It is also making the multiple copies of that is printed on the page. In the same way, PCR is a machine that will amplify or multiply the number of the fragment or gene of interest. So what is the basic requirement of this machine? Yes, first is DNA template whose copy we want to make. Second is the nucleotide primers, because DNA is made up of nitrogenous bases. So if we want to multiple copies of the DNA, we also require the nitrogenous bases. And third is the enzyme that will make the copies. So you just see the diagram. In the diagram, I have written the 3 steps. First is denaturation, second is annealing, and third is extension. Okay, suppose this is a double-stranded DNA or DNA template that we have taken, and we want to make the multiple copies of this part only. So what would happen? First step is the denaturation. Denaturation is the step where we can provide the high temperature like 94 degrees Celsius or heat. Why we require the high temperature at this time? Because at high temperature, hydrogen bonds between the DNA will be melt and these DNA strands will separate. So both the strands that we have taken here, these are separated here. So this step is known as denaturation. Second is the annealing. Annealing means to join. To join what? Yes, we have taken the nitrogenous basis primers that are oligonucleotide primers that will attach on the DNA template strands. I have drawn here by the blue color, one on this side and second on this side, because we have two DNA strands. So here we require the two primers, one on this side and second is here. But for the annealing, we require less temperature as compared to denaturation, that is a 40 degree to 60 degree Celsius. After that, third step is extension. In extension, who will extend the DNA strand? Definitely enzymes are required, and naturally in vivo conditions in the body of the organism, so DNA polymerase is considered as the synthesizing enzyme that will make the DNA strand. But here, as this machine will require the high temperature, so normal DNA polymerase cannot work here. So what we will do, we will take the Taq polymerase enzyme that will work on the 72 degrees Celsius along with deoxynucleotide triphosphate, nitrogenous deoxynucleotide triphosphate along with the magnesium ions. So now this Taq polymerase will extend the strand. So I have made the new strand by the blue color over the red color. Red color is showing the template strands and blue color is showing the complementary new strands. So you can see here we have taken only one strand, but here we are getting the two strands of the DNA. And it will depend upon our requirement, how many copies of this DNA we will require. So I have written here after 30 cycle what would happen if we are getting the two DNA strands from the one. So after 30 cycle billions of the copies we can obtain by this. So it will depend upon the requirement, and according to requirement we have to add nitrogenous basis enzyme, and only one DNA template is enough for that. So these are the three steps. First is denaturation, where template DNA is heat up at the 94 degrees Celsius. Why? To separate the DNA strands. How it will happen? By melting of the hydrogen bonds, these strands will separate like this. After that, annealing is there, where primers, oligonucleotide primers will attach on the template strands that you can see here, also at 40 to 60 degrees Celsius. And third step is the extension, where DNA polymerase, but specific Taq polymerase enzyme synthesize the DNA strands at the 72 degrees Celsius. And this Taq polymerase enzyme is extracted from the special bacteria that is known as Thermus aquaticus. That is a thermophilic bacteria which can work on the high temperature also, because thermophilic bacteria are the bacteria which can work at a high temperature, because their enzymes are specially designed according to their conditions where they are living. That is why this enzyme is taken from the Thermus aquaticus. And this time also from in the NEET also questions come from the at what temperature extension will take place, at the 72 degrees Celsius. So you must keep in mind these are the only three steps by which you can make the multiple copies, but you have to fix the number of cycles will be repeated. Now we are discussing the process of recombinant DNA technology, because we have completed all the important steps or the topics of this chapter. So now we are going to discuss the complete process again. So first is the isolation of genetic material. Yes, genetic material, but it will depend from where we are obtaining that genetic material. Either we are obtaining from bacteria, animal, plant or fungus. So we have to break down the cell wall or the cell membrane to take out the DNA. So we have to work according to that. If we have to take the genetic material of bacteria or the animal, so we will use the enzyme lysozyme that will break down the plasma membrane or the cell wall of the bacteria. But if we are obtaining the genetic material of the plant, so cell wall of the plant is made up of cellulose. So we require the enzyme cellulase to break down that cell wall. And if we are taking genetic material from the fungus, so fungus cell wall is made up of chitin. So we will need the chitinase enzyme or chitinase enzyme to break down the cell wall. So it will depend upon the cell codes of the organisms from where we will take the genetic material. because genetic material mainly is two, DNA or RNA, but DNA is more preferred or more stable genetic material than the RNA. So now we have obtained, after the breakdown of the cell wall or cell envelope or cell membrane, we will obtain DNA that is entangled with the RNA and protein. So we have to remove these biomolecules also. So we will use the protease enzyme to remove the proteins and ribonuclease enzymes to remove the RNA. Then we will obtain the genetic material, that is DNA. Then what will we do? We will add the chilled ethanol to precipitate out the DNA, and so we can take out the DNA of the genetic material from where we are taking the foreign gene. Okay, second step, we have obtained the genetic material. The next step is to cut the DNA at the specific locations, and that is done by the restriction enzymes, because restriction enzyme only cut the palindromic or specific sequence at the specific points. Third, if we will obtain the fragments or the DNAs of different size, then we will do the gel electrophoresis to take out the specific DNA fragment. After that, we obtain the fragment. What we will do? We will make the multiple copies of that gene. If we are thinking about the foreign gene, in the same way we have to take the vector also from the organisms. Then, if we are discussing about the foreign gene, we have to make the multiple copies of the gene of interest, but it will depend what we are using here. We can make the multiple copies of the gene of interest in host also and by the PCR also, but if we are using the host, it will take time because time consuming process, and if you are using the PCR speed is high, so it will make the copies of the DNA in millions or billions in very less time. So after that, we have made the multiple copies. What will we do? We can insert that DNA into the vector, that is the rDNA, recombinant DNA. After that recombinant DNA is inserted into host organism by using the different techniques like the electroporation, gene gun method, by the chemical method, microinjection we have already discussed. After that, we have inserted the gene into the organism. Now next step, we have to focus how we can obtain the recombinant protein, because we have added the recombinant DNA into the host organism. Now that host organism, the heterologous organism from which we can obtain the foreign gene. But question arises, where and how? So that host organism should be cultured to obtain the recombinant protein. But that can also done on the two scale. Either small scale we can do in the laboratory, and on the large scale we can do in the bioreactors that we also call fermenters. So I have drawn a diagram here of the fermenter. Fermenter is made up of a jacket that is made up of stainless steel. I have to make this line, that is the jacket. I can write here also, jacket that is made up of stainless steel. What we will do? We will add the culture media into this. So this is culture media. In between there is a rod, and on which impellers are attached, and this rod is connected to the motor. Motor will be helping the rotation, and rotation according to RPM, rotation per minute we can fix according to us. And this is the pH control, that will control the pH. And after that we can add the microorganism also, and we can fix the RPM and left it for some time. So what would happen here? That organism will use the culture media as a food, and then release the recombinant proteins into the culture medium. So inlet is here from where we can add the medium, and outlet is here. But fermenters are also two types. We can do the batch culture or the continuous culture. In batch culture we can add the medium at once and then taken out the protein at once. This is doing like the batch culture. But in the continuous culture, we are continuously adding the medium and continuously taking out the material also. Next is the downstream processing. Downstream processing, yes, if the formation of the recombinant protein is finished here, after that we have to separate out and purify the recombinant proteins. Then we have to pass out under the quality control, then release into the market. Thank you, beta.